Ladies and gentlemen, it's the Two Ps, but we have a special guest with us this week.
Get in, losers. We're going movie drafting.
Ladies and gentlemen, a brand new episode of Two Ps on the podcast is something a little different this week. We talked about it. We teased it a couple weeks ago, Nick and I. When we reviewed Challengers, I believe, we talked about how we're going to be incorporating movie drafts once a month. And this is the very first movie draft for Two Ps. We have a special guest. You heard his voice at the top there in the cold open, which was a very well-rehearsed bit that he came up with, and we really appreciate him for it. Justin Winters. You know, it's funny, Nick. We've only had one guest on this show since you and I took over together, and it was Justin Winters. And now he's back. What's up, brother?
Guys, it's been a while. You know that gif or meme of the Titanic old lady? It's like, it's been 98 years.
Yeah.
And I'm back. I'm here to draft some motion pictures.
Yeah.
It's awesome, guys. I love both you, and I have been movie drafting for many, many years, over a decade. So any way to get back in the saddle is great.
Let's talk about that a little bit.
Stop looking at Gerald, Nick.
Let's talk about that a little bit.
I'm at camp. I just started this special camp. Started this special camp like a couple weeks ago. It's been an interesting time for me. What?
How's the camp leader there? I hear he's a very good role model.
Oh, you better be happy it's only a shot from like the torso up there.
Hey, you definitely better be long lens. You know what I mean? We're out here streaming.
Yeah, it's exciting to have. It's exciting to have winners here. Like we basically dragged him out. Like this is the virtual podcasting alley. We dragged him out into the alley. We're gonna club him over the head, steal his segment, and leave him there. But we figured we'd give him some movie picks first before we leave him in the dumpster in the alley here.
We are movie drafting tonight. I think anybody that's tuning into this episode, whether it's audio or on YouTube, probably gets the gist, but we're going to draft a team of movies, and then we will put it out there on social media, let people vote for who had the best collective team. Nick, I want to brainstorm with you about a potential prize that we could kind of work into the equation somehow as well. So, Justin, there might be something on the line for you tonight. So, well, that if Nick loses, that's definitely on the table. Or if you come over to the sex cult. I mean, I don't know. We'll see. So, basically, we draft a team. There are 6 categories, which means each one of us will have a team of 6 movies that we will draft tonight. Justin, you were joking around about it a little bit. So I Married a Movie Geek is one of the first podcasts I ever got, first indie podcasts I ever got into. You and Chrissy, your wife, and you kind of infamously came up with this movie draft thing, and then it just became a recurring thing on your show. You did it all the time. I got to be honest with you, man. I just want to tell you real quick, and I told Nick this when we talked about it last week when we were recording. You're the inspiration for this. Like, you really are. Like, that was so much fun, dude. And Nick was talking about how much he missed just that atmosphere of getting all these random people together to just bitch at each other about their picks and
you know what they were?
Just awesome, man.
They were a great community builder, especially at a time in the indie podcasting community when a lot of us were all basically discovering other shows and really trying to become more of an active community together. They were one of those really great kind of community building things. And I think back to memories I have of being on a microphone with people, and a lot of the strongest ones are movie drafts. Remember Shane and his utter hatred of Mad Max Fury Road and just being absolutely trashed on bourbon one time when we were drafting. I mean, I just have all these random memories associated with podcasting, and a lot of them are because of movie drafts, which is all because of Justin Winters and So I Married a Movie Geek.
Mm-hmm. I agree.
I think we started doing drafts back in 2013, 2012, somewhere around there, and it was the reason I did it was I have an addiction, or a couple addictions. I have addiction to watching movies, and at the time I had an addiction to fantasy sports drafts. I had basketball, baseball, football, golf, NASCAR at one point. And when I had this podcast where I had to do episodes where it didn't involve my wife. I was like, what would I want to do? And we came up with the draft idea. There weren't a lot of movie podcasts, at that time, and not a lot were doing drafts at all like that. So I was like, this will be fun. And to be honest with you, we did like 100 of them, and I would have done them and just not taped them. They were that fun. Like, it was just
they were great.
A good reason to hang out with people that also like movies and talk about them. So those were also some of my favorite times podcasting. So
I agree, man. So can I ask you? So I know this about Nick already. I know Nick could fucking care less. He's going to draft whatever he wants to draft tonight. But Justin, I want to ask you: are you a heart or a head guy, or are you kind of a mixture of both? How do you draft when you draft these movies?
We used to do. There was a famous Venn diagram that we did where I want to be in the middle. I want to pick or draft movies that I love that other people also have seen and love. And if you could do that, you can win a movie draft. So
sure,
I'm in the middle. I know Nick doesn't care, but
no.
I use these drafts to just make fun of Nick constantly. That's another plus for me. So
that's the only thing drafts with any draft I was ever on. That's all any of them were ever about.
Yeah, that's great.
We would go through 2 rounds and we would run out of movies Nick had even seen before. So it was all just like whatever.
Now listen, you make fun of that, you say that, but I'm putting together my list of 94 films for this draft, and I'm like, oh
wow. Okay.
It might be rough filling out a team of 6 here, boys.
What? Oh my God, Justin, do you agree with that? You don't agree with that, do you? This is a fucking stacks.
You guys might steal some of the picks, is what I'm saying.
Oh,
I mean, I've done over a dozen of these with Nick. I know that he watches no movies, and he used to be an epic movie guy. And we're like, well, do you actually like movies? So when this came about that you guys were doing this, I'm like, that's gonna be interesting with Nick because he hasn't seen a lot of movies. So there you go.
I'll probably have to get Nick will definitely be all in for when we do like the 80s horror one. You'll do good with that one, Nick. That one's coming up. All right. Well, tonight the draft is for 1994. I'm going to talk a little bit about why that's the very, very first one, because this is the inaugural movie draft for 2Ps. So Nick and I talked about it. I picked this one, and then Nick's going to pick the next one. And then going forward, we will let our patrons and our listeners come up with ideas for us for the movie draft. If you want to get involved, make sure you check the show notes for Patreon and Discord and all that kind of stuff if you want to give suggestions for future movie drafts. But for the first one, we're doing movies from 1994. So real quick, guys, Justin, our guest, where was Justin Winters in 1994? What did movies mean to you that year, buddy?
Let's see. So in 1994, at that point, my dad had owned an independent movie a video store for 9 years. So it was already baked in that, I was just obsessed with movies at the time. And then me and Nick are around the same age. 94 was a big year for me because it was the first part of the year I was in 8th grade. And the second part of the year, I was in 9th grade, high school. So it was just like a big year of like, yeah, I'm fucking in high school now. I'm watching R-rated movies all the time. So this year was like super influential. They say that like your favorite movies and favorite music are like from when you're in high school, those bands or movies or TV shows. And there are definitely a few movies in 94 that I'm like, yep, those are kind of in my DNA as a film lover. So.
That's awesome, man. Nick, where were you in 1994, man? Are you what? You and Justin are the same age, right? Or roughly the same age?
Yeah, pretty roughly. I was in high school. I mean, Winters already said it perfectly. They're really formative years, and I mean, I don't want to spoil anything coming down the pipe or anything like that, but this is definitely a year that's got a few formative films on it for me. So I'm really, really excited to get into the nuts and bolts of the draft here and discuss some of the different things. But I mean, other than that, I was in high school, I was pissing my pants thinking about trying to talk to girls and things like that. Thank you, Gerald, for that wonderful hand motion.
No, I know. Yeah, I know. This is 94, man. Well, for me, the reason I picked this year as the inaugural movie draft is because this is probably the most formidable year for me personally as a movie fan. Like, this is the year I graduated high school. So I got a few years on you guys. I graduated high school. I started college in 94. And I was in North Carolina. I went to high school, and then I went to UNC Greensboro, and eventually went to UNC Charlotte. All of that happened in 1994. There's one movie that's without a doubt going to come up tonight that I saw in the theater like 5 times. I just kept going back to see it with different people because I wanted them to experience it. And I wanted to watch them experiencing it. And it literally changed me. Like, it turned me into a cinephile, this one movie in particular. But then looking at this year, like, it's really heavy in comedy, in my opinion. A lot of comedies came out this year that I rewatch today, like, all the time, like, constantly rewatching a lot of these movies. So the reason I picked this year, and it'll be interesting to see what Nick picks next month, but this was the most formidable year for me as a movie fan. It just turned me into, I just never look back. So, and I owe a lot of that to 1994. And like you guys said, it was the kind of the time in your life when you really start to kind of like soak up things like a sponge, you know? So that's where I was. So I'm excited to see where we go here, guys. We did the draft order before we started recording. I got first pick. Nick got second pick.
Shockingly, Gerald did the draft order, and Gerald got first pick. I don't know how.
You guys, I did it on screen so you would know it was legit. I mean, that wasn't an AI fake,
some kind of
deep fake or whatever.
Some kind of computer program you mocked up in the last couple hours. Whatever, man.
Pretty sure it was just like
man.
a screenshot that he just was like, "Oh, look at me clicking these buttons here. Oh,
Boop, boop,
So
boop.
this is
there I am.
There's 3 of us. This is a snake style draft, so it'll go 1, 2, 3, and then circle back around 3, 2, 1, so on and so on until we have our 6 movies on the board. And the categories that we're going to be drafting in are drama, comedy, horror, thriller, or sci-fi, blockbuster, which is any movie that made over $100 million, and that's a U.S. and Canada. I guess IMDb groups those 2 countries together, but whatever. Action, and our wild card pick, which will be any movie that's left on the board that we think is a wild card. And there's a few of those this year, too, that I just love that some people maybe have never even heard of. So we'll see when we get there. So when we make our picks, and I told these guys before we started recording, we're going to be drafting the movie, and then we're going to place them into whatever category we want to put them in. And then that category will be off the board for our respective team until we go to the next pick. So if you guys don't have any questions, I can't believe I got first pick because are you guys good? 1994?
We haven't even signaled the start of the fight yet.
Oh, go ahead. Do your thing.
My
Or
God,
do Justin's
in
thing.
heaven.
Do Justin's thing.
Give me the bell.
Got to get ready. You got to be like,
Round 1.
I'm not in fighting mood unless I hear that bell,
I know.
man.
I know. I'm sorry. That was
Yeah,
something from the-
we can't believe that you got number 1 either, Gerald.
Yeah.
I love that
guys
you
are
said
so
it like
shocked.
Especially in a 1994 draft when he's talking about, this movie that I watched
The
5 times
movie.
in the theaters and took so many people to go see it over and over, and it changed who I am as a person. Oh, I got the number 1 pick.
You know what it is?
I got a good guess, but I'm not going to take your
Yeah.
pick for you.
Yeah,
It's
well,
your-
let's
it's
not
your
let's
pick.
not
You do
throw
it.
out name or titles in the
All right.
draft them.
So to get things started, the movie I'm going to take, and then I'm going to see where I'm going to put it here. The movie I'm going to take is going to be Quentin Tarantino's Pulp Fiction. That's my number 1.
Oh, wait.
I don't think that was the right sound effect.
Sounded like it.
That's easily my number 1 in 1994. I'm assuming you guys are in love with this thing too, but yeah, that was the movie for me. I went to see this and was a freshman in college when I saw it. And, you know, I was on my own for the first time in my life. And this was probably, honestly, the first movie I went to see in a theater, like, as an adult on my own, not living at my parents' house. And I was, I mean, flabbergasted. Like, I could still feel remnants of the way I felt when I saw it. Like, I was just in shock, like watching a car accident when you can't look away, and just mesmerized by everything that happened in this movie. The way the storytelling was out of order, the performances, the soundtrack is, to this day, I listen to that soundtrack. And Tarantino really started to put his staple on Hollywood. I found Reservoir Dogs after Pulp Fiction, which is not the case for a lot of people, but I went back and watched that because of Pulp Fiction. And I have put him in my top probably 3 filmmakers of all time ever since. But yeah, this movie changed me, guys. I mean, this movie actually is the reason why we're doing a 1994 draft. So I'm glad I got first pick to make sure I scooped it up. What do you guys think about Pulp Fiction? Well, I mean, this is. I mean, anybody else want to say anything about this movie? Let me put it on the board while you guys are talking.
Yeah, I would have taken this first. I'm interested where you're going to put it. But yeah,
It was
instant game changer of a movie. I mean, it came out when I was a freshman in high school, and I think it was quoted incessantly throughout high school. I had a freshman college year suite mate that watched this every day for a whole semester. Like it was one of those guys.
Yeah.
But yeah, my favorite Quentin Tarantino film. It's just like game changer.
Okay.
I also went to see it at the movie theater, and it just blew me away. So
yeah, it's crazy, man.
Great pick.
I agree.
Here he goes.
It's the obvious number one of 1984, like across the board. I mean, most people, if they're picking a draft like this, are gonna take Pulp Fiction first. I mean, it is landmark cinema, through and through. I mean, it really, really is.
So that's my number one. I'm putting it in the drama category. I think, guys, there's a couple, maybe 3 categories it could have fell into, and of course, wild card. But I'm going to put it in drama. So that's my drama pick, Pulp Fiction. Nick, you have the number 2 pick in the draft.
I can't wait to break Winners. His little scheme here of we're gonna pick different like genres and categories for all these different movies, because I'm gonna break it so hard all the time, because he's gonna be like, some of these years I'm gonna have seen like 2 movies from, and he's gonna be like, come on, no, you already picked a drama, you can't have another one. And I'm gonna
we're coming. Me and Winners are coming for you, brother.
I was gonna say this definitely makes it harder for Nick. Like I would prefer just willy nilly, but this is like really setting up
it's gonna make it so hard for me sometimes.
Issues
like
for
in
Nick,
some drafts, but it's not gonna set up a problem for my number 1 overall pick, which Gerald talked a lot about, a film that was incredibly formative to him. In his formative years. And my number 1 was an extremely formative movie for myself. It is Kevin Smith's Clerks.
Ooh,
obviously going to go in the comedy category, Gerald. I mean, this kicked off his View Askew-niverse. A lot of the movies within it that I absolutely love. Like, even when he revisited this with Clerks 2 and Clerks 3, I loved both of those as well. But I mean, just when you think about 90s movies, what movie really fits the bill of a 90s movie more than the movie Clerks? Like, just the banter back and forth of friends just working a crappy job and all those different kinds of things. Like, I know, Winners, you must have watched this a million times when you were in high school too. And like all these conversations that you had with your friends. Like, I mean, we're all Star Wars guys. We've all had the random super nerdy conversations about all the different stuff that they do and this sort of thing. So it was kind of almost speaking a language to people like us, maybe that we didn't see or anything like that normally. I mean, it's as good. Like I said, this is if Pulp Fiction's off the board, this is ideally the number 2 slot for me right away.
Justin, what do you think?
I mean, at the time, it was like Kevin Smith was one of us. Like, I was working at a video store. I don't think I'd ever seen a movie that had what they were talking about, which is what we were also talking about at the video store, just fucking around. And I was just like, this is amazing. And then you had the part of it of like, okay, he's one of us, and he made a movie on his credit card, and it's fucking great. And then from there, he just keeps going up. So it was almost like not Local Boy Makes Good, but like he was one of us, and he did it. He he didn't talk about it. He did it. He made a movie, and it's good. It's hilarious.
Yeah.
And it stood the test of time. I love it.
Yeah, it would be similar to somebody going out today and shoot somebody we know shooting a movie on their iPhone, and then it turns into this just giant thing that you're looking back on 25, 30 years later. I love this movie too. I didn't think it was going to make it, Nick, but had it made it, I mean, this is probably my 2 or 3 of the year 1994. Talked about
your
comedies.
Next pick is 6. There's no way this movie was making it all the
way
back around to 6.
No way. But I talked about comedy. I feel like this year in particular is really good for comedy. Like, there's a lot of really, really good comedies. That's why I'm not too worried, because there's just a few others to pull from. But since this is a snake draft, Mr. Justin Winters is going to get 2 picks back to back. He's our third one up here, man. What do you got?
Snake draft. Okay.
Yeah, man.
All right.
Gerald doesn't know how to pronounce the word serpentine.
I don't even know what that is.
Okay.
Ride the dune worm into the fucking
dune worm. All right. This works out well for me. I'm glad I went third. So with my first pick, I'm gonna pick another movie from the drama category because I think that's the most shallow out of all these categories. And with it, I'm gonna pick one of the most well-regarded, reviewed, most well-liked movies of all time. And it's partly due to the fact that it was on either TBS or TNT throughout the late 90s, the aughts, the 2010s. I'm talking about The Shawshank Redemption, guys. So, if anyone doesn't know, obviously Shawshank Redemption, amazing movie based off of a very like a short story by Stephen King. Huge Stephen King fan as a kid. Huge fan of Morgan Freeman, Tim Robbins in that movie. Again, it was on basic cable. It basically built up basic cable forever. It's got an amazing story about, the concept of hope amongst shitty circumstances. We've all been, maybe not all been in prison for a couple of decades, but all lived through traumatic experiences, been, through things that we didn't know that we could get out of. And, Andy Dufresne is that character in that movie that you're like, how does he get the motor to get out of this situation? And then you have Morgan Freeman, one of his best roles ever. So much so that like, if I hear the name Morgan Freeman, I think of a line from Shawshank Redemption. And then you have one of the best endings of a movie of all time. I mean, it's a perfect film. Everybody seems to love it. I couldn't, it wasn't going to come back to me, I think. So I had to pick it here with my first spot in the drama category.
Yeah.
Gerald couldn't have picked
agree.
it because he already picked his drama. So
that's right.
Well, when I heard drama for 1994, this is the first one I think of. I don't really think of Pulp Fiction as a drama. It's kind of a tweener of.
You can argue that Pulp Fiction's like every genre.
Yeah, it's a lot.
It's got a lot of everything in it.
But Shawshank is a drama, and it's one of the best ones of all time. So it's a great pick.
I've been to co-host of the P's for a little less than a year, and that feels like prison for 20 years. So does that count?
I feel like I've been climbing through shit every time I talk to you about Dune Part 2.
Just spoon your way out, Nick. You can do it.
Made me watch Roadhouse, Winners. The new one.
It was good, man. Winners, you got me on that? It was good, right?
Dude, I loved it, obviously. It's a horrible film, but I was transfixed throughout. I don't think there's any.
I want to see the movie that Conor McGregor was starring in his own head.
God.
That's the movie.
He is so out of the box.
Every line of his in that movie was like it could have been in The Room with his delivery.
He was like this the whole time. He's like this.
I loved it. I thought it was great.
All right, Winners. What's your follow-up there in the snake formats?
Oh, man. Yikes. This is even harder.
Oh, boy. You're already struggling on your second pick.
No, I mean, I'm not struggling because I haven't seen any movies like Nick. I've seen them all, and it's just a really hard choice, Gerald. Come on.
Yeah, I get it.
Okay. You know what? Fuck it. I'm going to pick one of my favorite action movies of all time, one of the best Los Angeles movies of all time. Starring my boy Keanu. I'm going with Speed in the action category, guys. So, I think this came out in the summer of '94. If I'm right, it was probably around the time that I was, turning 14 that year. And I think this is one of those movies I saw in the theater that I was like, now it's over. I'm going to go right back in and watch it again because it was that fucking good. It never stops. It's got one of the best villain performances. Dennis Hopper is like chewing up the scenery throughout the film. Sandra Bullock look just amazing. And then Keanu, one of our finest actors of our generation, just knocking it out of the park in that movie. I love Speed. I even love the sequel. It's a great film.
Not the one on the cruise boat. You don't like that one.
I'm here representing LA with my Dodgers cap. I love that it's an LA movie. Yeah, I love Speed. It's awesome.
Okay. Sandy B though in that, am I right? With the little sundress.
Wildcat. Yeah.
That was doing something in '94 to old Gerald. You know what I'm saying?
God.
Nick,
This is what Winters. This is what I got to deal with every week.
Nick, anything to add, or are you good?
No, Pop Quiz Hot Shot. Yeah, this is one of the best action movies, literally of all time. Literally, and Winters is right. It doesn't stop. Like the great conceit of the film is that the action can't stop, and it sneaks in a quiet moment here or there, but it's so pulse pounding. Like it's an exercise in ratcheting up cinematic tension perfectly. Because then even when you think it's kind of like a little bit of its let go or whatever, it brings more. It's so good. And yeah, Hopper in that movie,
the best.
Forget it.
Jeff Daniels is really great in that too. Yeah, I just rewatched that a couple months ago. It holds up. I mean, it's awesome up there with like that Die Hard type action. You know, it's really good.
There's a lot of '90s movies you go back and you're like, this should have been left in the '90s. If you watch Speed, you're like, they could, put this out now and it would make millions and millions of dollars. It holds up that well.
Exactly, I agree. Nick, you took Clerks on your first pick. What do you got next, man?
I think I got to follow Winters down the road of the action vehicle here, and I've got to take another one of the greatest action movies ever made and another one of the best movies of 1994. It is James Cameron's True Lies, baby. I utterly
stole it from me, dude,
and completely adore this movie. And I mean, really, like talking about Pulp Fiction, like swinging all over genres, like this thing's also a hilarious comedy. It's got great dramatic beats too. So I mean, it's a film that legitimately has it all. Arnie doing his best 007. Tom Arnold as his sidekick is incredible. And I mean, Gerald, go ahead and talk about Jamie Lee Curtis doing the strip dance. Go ahead, buddy. I'll let you have it. It's your show. I'll let you have your moment, bud.
In 1994, that was embedded, bro. I'm just going to tell you now.
It's still embedded. Come on now.
Do it slowly. Okay? All right. Yeah, I'm there with you. Are you putting this in action or blockbuster? Are you doing action?
Man, I hate you so much.
Just do it. Just say it.
Put it in the action. Whatever.
Action. Okay. All right.
I'm going to break this thing before
you can't pick under 100 million for blockbuster. Then winners will come for you.
Listen, I haven't checked Box Office Mojo. I don't know what these movies make.
Pull it up, brother.
God.
You're one of the P's now. What am I doing? Is it my pick? True Lies.
All the fucking homework he wants me to do.
Don't forget about R.I.P.
You took it from me.
R.I.P. Bill Paxton in an amazing role in like 10 minutes. He kind of steals the whole movie.
The guy is a goddamn used car salesman. I mean, this just keeps getting better and better.
Oh, he's so good, man. God,
got a little dick. It's pathetic.
Tom Arnold, awesome in that movie too. Comic relief. I love when he's like, just give me the goddamn page. He busts the window out. It's the best.
I have to lie to women to get laid, and I don't score much.
It's you stole that one from me, man. So let me see here. I think I might go for my next pick. I think I'm going to go into comedy. I think I'm going to pick my comedy here. Man, this is a coin flip, to be honest. But for my comedy, I think I'm going to go with Dumb and Dumber. I think I'm going to take that one. My comedy. It was between this and another film, and I'm sure that one will come up at some point, so I will hold off on discussing that. But yeah, Dumb and Dumber for me, I can remember going to see this in the theater, and I took my little sister to see it. She's 5 years younger than I am, and we were so hysterically funny. Like, we were laughing so much during this movie that we missed so many lines that they said. And I have a very, very vivid memory of me and my sister leaving the movie theater and laughing so hard in the parking lot on the way to the car that she tripped over one of those like speed things that they put at the parking spots. You know, I'm talking about the little like concrete things or whatever. She tripped over them and fell down because she didn't see it because she was laughing so hard. This movie just cracked us up. It is dumb humor. It's silly. It was 94 was Jim Carrey's year. I mean, I'm sure when you guys were making your list, you saw that. But this guy put out banger after banger, classic after classic. So it was really tough to kind of decide, but I love Dumb and Dumber so much. The rewatchability on this is like through the roof for me too. So that's my comedy pick. What do you guys think about this movie?
I mean, for me, this was a movie that when it came out, especially on DVD and VHS back in the day, me and my friends would over and over play the Jeff Daniels diarrhea scene and prank call people and play see because he's like I'm on the toilet, he's like oh
Yeah.
yeah, we would prank call people and play that over not like strangers, like we do it to like friends and family, but even so that's all they would hear is just Jeff Daniels having diarrhea. But yeah, great pick. I absolutely love Dumb and Dumber. I think it's amazing. I think it's absolutely just beyond incredible.
You're a fan of this one, obviously, right, Winners?
Oh, it's one of my favorite comedies of all time. Like
Yeah.
I in terms of comedies I've seen more than any other comedy, this has got to be up there in the top 5. We used to play it at the video store all the time. Like we have screens, we got to always be playing something. This would be a surefire way for us to be like laughing throughout the day because it's got so many great lines, so many sequences that are hilarious. I think it's Jim Carrey's best movie that year, and it's my favorite probably Jim Carrey movie outside of Eternal Sunshine. So I love it. I'm pissed that you got it. So
we got no jobs, we got no food, our pets' heads are falling off.
It's so good, man.
Big
so
gulps, huh?
quotable.
All right. Just like lines that you shouldn't be funny. It's just
so
hilarious.
Quotable. It's so ridiculously quotable.
Why are you going to the airport? Flying somewhere?
Even my kids like it. They like the mock. See,
Yeah, exactly. You want to hear the most annoying sound in the world? Yeah. So that'll be my comedy pick, and then since we're snaking, I'm going to go around. I'm going to go ahead and get my blockbuster pick off the board because I don't know. I don't see it lasting until the next round. One of the greatest animated films of all time, and one of the very last hand-drawn Disney masterpieces, and that's The Lion King. And it's going to be my blockbuster pick. Jeremy Irons giving a fucking flawless voice performance as Scar, one of the best villain performances. And I'm talking about period. I'm not talking about just an animation. Just so sinister and malicious and but you just eat it up. I just loved when Scar was on camera or on scene in this film. And it's one of those movies that just will live on for literally ever. I mean, there's a reason why there's a Broadway musical about it. There's a reason why they're remaking it every 2 or 3 years. I mean, I know this is a turn on Shakespeare or whatever, but just the way Disney kind of, shoehorned themselves into that story and the voice performances and the music and the soundtrack with Elton John. And I just love this movie, man. It's a family favorite around here, and I feel like it fits easily into my blockbuster pick there. What do you guys think about The Lion King, the OG?
It's great. It's good. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, there's not more to say about it than what, what
you said it all.
It already got ruined. It got ruined by the just abysmal live action remake that we got whenever that was a couple years ago, where they sucked all the emotion out of the animals' faces.
Oh yeah, when I saw that Barry Jenkins was doing a sequel to that movie, I was just like, what's going on? What are we doing anymore, guys? So, but
the remake made like $1 billion, so
Yeah, it's definitely a money thing for sure. All right, man. So that's my blockbuster pick, The Lion King. Nick, you are up next. So far, you have Clerks and True Lies, a good duo there. What do you got next, man?
God, the list is dwindling for movies Nick has seen, man. Oof.
Oh boy,
y'all better start picking some movies I haven't seen, or it's gonna get rough.
Oh boy,
it's gonna get rough in the back end here.
You're gonna have to get strategic here.
Let's see. My number 3 is another movie that I absolutely love, and the first ever performance of one young Miss Natalie Portman. Jean Reno. Gary Oldman is an incredible villain in Leon the Professional. I just love this movie. I mean, we don't rate Luc Besson anymore, right? Like, he doesn't do anything anymore, right? Like, he hasn't done anything good in a long time, but I mean,
This
this
was
movie
awesome, man.
was beyond incredible. And I mean, Gary Oldman, we've seen on even the movies that we reviewed here on the P's, just in our time, some scenery chewing performances. But you talk about scenery chewers, do they get better than Oldman in this movie as a villain?
Send everyone. Yeah, no,
Oh,
it's
so good. Yeah,
memorable.
I absolutely love this movie. I know Winters loves this too. I know he's probably gutted that this didn't sneak past me to get to him. But yeah,
What category are you putting it in?
Oh yeah,
number
putting it?
3.
Because I got bad news for you. I'm looking at IMDb and the 2 categories it has listed. You already
I'm calling it a thriller. It's what IMDb
a
thinks
thriller. All right.
Wait,
I'm
he's
gonna
got
give. Are
drama.
we giving
He
him
put in
thriller?
drama.
He already has drama, doesn't he? Oh no, he doesn't. Yeah, you're right.
I'm calling it. It's my number 3. I don't care where you put it.
We're doing it. Drama.
drama.
It's gonna have to go in your drama.
Yeah. I need all of you to tell Gerald how stupid this is to try to break this.
I just typed in
like
drama.
this.
Did you see that?
There are legitimately going to be years when I am not going to be able to do a draft because I don't like. It's like I only saw
this
4
is a
movies
test
from
run,
that year,
dude.
and it was a drama. They were all dramas, and it's like, well, I got nothing else.
So
it's a test run.
It's funny you bring that up because a real big reason I love drafts like this is it gives me a reason to go and be like, watch. Like I went and tried to find a bunch of 1994 movies I haven't seen before. And I think Gerald told me like a week ago, and I watched 6 1994 movies I've never seen just in that week. And I'm like, I've probably seen more than Nick just in this week.
Nice.
Now.
A week's worth of research.
Yeah, I'm like, Nick, you could watch you could watch newer movies that, like, even if they're old, they're new to you, so you could watch and like catch up.
Well, he's got I'll tell you right now, he doesn't need me to pat him on the back, but he's got a fucking killer list going right now. I know that much. I love all 3 of those movies, Nick, for sure. So I'm going to put it in the drama category for you because IMDb says that, and we're playing by Gerald's rules tonight.
That's just super duper, bud. You put it wherever you want.
All righty now. Justin, you got 2 picks back to back, man. What do you got? Shawshank and Speed up there right now. What else are you going to add to that?
Is IMDb like our sacrosanct? Like if it tells us it's a genre, we're going to be like, well, it has to be that.
No, but if the other 2 guests are against you, then it would come down to that. But I'm okay with it being in drama.
We used to, the genre thing would slip us up often. We would argue about where it be. All right, this is great. I love that this fell to me in this spot because it's one of my favorite horror movies of all time.
Oh boy,
Gerald, Joe, and me, we love horror movies, but this is one of this is my favorite horror franchise of all time. One of my favorite horror directors. Gotta go with my boy Wes Craven's New Nightmare in this spot.
Bitch.
I almost wore my Dream Warriors shirt today, but I thought Gerald would look at it and be like, "Yeah, I got to get that before Winners." You know,
I probably would have because I thought about taking it before Dumb and Dumber. Actually, so.
Yeah, huge Freddy kid as a kid. Dream Warriors is my favorite horror movie of all time, but like Dream Warriors, OG, Nightmare, and this one probably my top 3. It was, a game changer. Not a lot of huge blockbuster horror movies at that point were going the meta route that Wes Craven was going in that movie. It was kind of a little bit ahead of the times in that way, but after a lot of regrettable sequels, 5 and 6, Freddy's Dead, not my favorite Nightmare on Elm Street movie, my wife's favorite Nightmare on Elm Street movie.
Oh wow.
But yeah, I made her watch them all for our podcast, but this one was one of the greats. So had to pick this here. Love me some Freddy. So
good times, man.
God,
you stole that one from me.
I miss Chrissy's just incredible anger at you making her watch like trash horror movies.
Yeah, I know that was great.
Oh my God.
It's like we're doing this again.
It's like the greatest listening experience of all time.
Yeah, there are many just clips from the show of just like, I'm going to kill you. How dare you do this to me? Every single episode. I'm not watching another Human Centipede, Justin. I'm like, oh, okay.
Hey, good news, winners.
Man.
I didn't have that on my list, so there's still a chance I might be able to round out a whole list here.
I had it on mine, and winners, I'll tell you, I was very close to taking it before I took my comedy pick. I was like, should I go ahead and take it now? I mean, I know you love Dream Warriors, but
Yeah.
I don't know, man. But I will tell you, when I was making my list too, that horror specifically, even though thriller or sci-fi are in that category too, horror specifically is a little weak in '94.
Yep.
There's a
I
lot
knew
of
that too.
heavy, yeah. So great pick, man. All right, so you're up again on the snake style. What do you got?
All right. Now I gotta get.
You still have a blockbuster, a comedy to pick, and whatever your wild card is going to be.
All right. Well, I almost regret making this choice, but I'm gonna pick in the blockbuster category one of my mom's favorite movies, and shout out to my mom. Also, a movie that notoriously centered a Southern character, and as a boy from the South, it was hilarious at the time. I got to go with Forrest Gump here in Blockbuster.
Man, just
Sure,
lost the Prezula vote. There it goes.
Never even wanted his vote. I'll tell you
Yeah.
now.
Yeah, he's
You know,
irrational with Forrest Gump.
Forrest Gump as a film, it's got its problems. But one of its problems is not Tom Hanks. He does his best in the role. Obviously, endlessly quotable, and again, grew up in the South, so you heard this film, lines from this film. I think there were multiple soundtracks. So there might have been 2 soundtracks to this film. The
It's like a
Boomers
double
loved
album initially. Yeah.
Boomers loved it. My parents are Boomers. It's good. I like it. Definitely, I definitely don't think it should have won Best Picture of the year or anything like that. But it was one of those kind of zeitgeist movies at the time.
Yeah.
That kind of just swept everyone up. I love my boy Robert Zemeckis. Back to the Future, my favorite movie of all time. So had to pick it here for my mom. She loves her some Forrest Gump. So.
And Gary Sinise in that movie as Lieutenant Dan. Just fucking powerful performance, dude.
Yeah. Spawned Bubba Gump shrimp companies across the United States,
Damn straight. Yeah, no, it's definitely one of those like cultural like niches in the cinematic timeline. I mean, Forrest Gump's going to be mentioned whenever you're talking about 90s movies. There's no way to escape it. So, Nick, are you a fan of Forrest Gump? I don't know if I've ever heard you mention this movie before or not.
Yeah, it's decent. It's a very schmaltzy picture. It's definitely meant to be. It's engineered like if you think about engineering the perfect Best Picture winner, it almost feels like in that way. Like, I mean, Hanks is still great in it. Like Robin Wright, great in it. And yeah, Gary Sinise, like it's a good movie. Like, don't get me wrong, it's really good, but it does have that almost like manufactured like schmaltz factor to it, where it's just like it's like somebody really wanted to win an Oscar here, and who knows who it was,
And
but
they did.
And they did. So yeah, so good. They did a good job.
Yeah. Mission accomplished.
Yeah.
All right, Nick. Let's see. Leon the Professional, Clerks, True Lies. And I know you're really paying attention to the categories, so you need to come up with a horror, thriller, or sci-fi. A blockbuster. Make sure you pull up Box Office Mojo. And you also have your wild card pick on the board. So what do you got there, Nick?
I'm not pulling up Box Office Mojo. I don't care.
Nick, wait. Before Nick goes, what's funny about this is he only has one option for Blockbuster now.
Oh boy!
I had 2 movies to choose from, and
Oh boy!
I'll take this one and leave the other one.
I didn't actually know that. Does he?
Pretty sure. We'll see.
All right.
Man, what if the draft removes it as an option for me? Then what do we do, Gerald?
I think we're gonna maybe do that until you start pounding through your watch list a little bit.
Thank you so much. I don't care.
Well,
I already know what I'm going to pick here.
Right.
This is a movie I watched like on repeat over and over and over and over again in the 90s when this movie came out. I really, really love outer space. I really, really love like wild sci-fi stuff, like weird concepts, like going through a magical wormhole thing to some weird desert planet where there's a flying pyramid and all sorts of Stargate, baby. Throw Stargate in there for me. Love Stargate. I never got into the show that came out after this on Sci-Fi for whatever reason. My buddy was into it really, really big because it lasted like 87 seasons, I think. But I mean, Spader's really good in this. Kurt Russell really, really good in this movie. I just love it. It's just a really, really good like sci-fi movie, and then it's also like this historical epic kind of wrapped in a sci-fi movie because there's like ancient Egyptian culture like all wrapped in there too. Just really good.
Yeah,
It's a solid movie.
it's a good one.
I really like
Roland Emmerich,
Yep.
one of his
Yeah.
other good movies. But yeah,
I was gonna say it's a short list, but yeah, that's a good one.
It's a short list. The more he releases, the list is less of a percentage wise.
but yeah, great film. Stargate, I love it as well.
Love it.
It's a good one. I'm gonna stay on that horror thriller sci-fi line, and I'm gonna go ahead and throw in Natural Born Killers as my next pick. The Oliver Stone film with Woody Harrelson.
Sorry, which of those genres is that?
I'm gonna put it in horror or thriller, but I'm gonna
Natural
say horror.
Born Killers is a horror movie.
Yeah, they're serial killers like murdering people.
Jesus,
I mean, right, Justin?
Jesus, tap dancing Christ.
I mean,
Have you-
right?
You seen it?
Yeah, I've seen it.
Okay.
You don't think
Call
that's
it
a horror movie? I
would-
think it is.
I would say it's a prescient horror movie. It kind of
Somebody pull up IMDb.
It's
Don't give a shit what IMDb says.
I mean, it's horror or thriller.
It's more
I
of
mean,
a
it's gotta
thriller
be one
than
of
a
those.
horror movie.
Yeah, it's gotta be
luckily
one
it's
of
the same
those.
category. So.
It's more of a comedy than it is a horror movie. But you already
I
have
don't
a
know,
comedy movie.
Let me just tell you before I go to my next pick, though, with Natural Born Killers. This was, by the way, another soundtrack that I freaking love, by the way, that I listen to all the time. Nine Inch Nails, Patsy Cline, all over the place on the soundtrack. I love it. But I was in a Oliver Stone phase in the 90s. Like JFK and The Doors came out, I think, in the same year, like a couple years before this. And I freaking loved both of those movies. And I just love his style of filmmaking. And Natural Born Killers was like that, but it was the first movie of his that I really saw that wasn't based on a true story, and it was just like mythical kind of viewing that was just felt like an out of body experience. And it's so brutal and bloody and graphic and kind of sweet in a weird way, like Woody Harrelson and Juliette Lewis in that movie.
Where's the romance genre for the picks here?
Yeah, exactly.
This would have
Put that
slotted in there
romance.
perfect.
But yeah, I just love Oliver Stone, and especially in the 90s. And, you know, as a horror fan, this movie kind of, you know, hit a lot of buttons for me. So that's my horror and or thriller pick, which let's see what I got here. Action next. I got to come up with an action movie now.
I'm determined to break this system, winners. I'm so determined.
All right. I'll tell you what I'll put in my as my action pick. Yeah, because this was maybe going to be wild card, but I'm going to go ahead and put it in my action, and that's going to be The Crow. You guys have heard me talk about this. By the way, another soundtrack that I listen to literally all the time. So many of these movies have such memorable soundtracks. But yeah, I mean, Brendan Lee infamously, you know, lost his life on the set of this movie. It has that really gothic, dark, dreary kind of dread which kind of goes to what happened in reality. But it also tells this really cool graphic novel come to life. And it's just awesome. I mean, it's, you know, Nick, I'm going to make you visit this for Patreon before the new one comes out with Bill Skarsgård. But this movie for me is just, it kind of like as a time capsule for that grunge goth era 90s, but it still plays well when you watch it today because it's almost like an homage to that era and to what happened on the set, and that lives on, you know. And I've seen documentaries about the behind the scenes for The Crow, which are really interesting too. So this is one of my favorite movies of the 90s of the decade as a whole. And since I have my action pick left, I'm going to throw it in there. Nick, I know you haven't seen it, right?
Nope.
You told me. Winners, are you a fan of The Crow?
I thought it was good. I thought it was good when it came out. I just feel like it's kind of grown into something else that it kind of was. Like it's, you know, it was a good movie at the time, and then everything around it kind of clouded everything.
Yeah.
And since then, I mean, there was a couple sequels, and they've been trying to remake it. So it's just like, it's definitely something that was, I felt, could have just been left in that time period and not, dragged out.
Yeah, it could have stood
much
alone. Yeah, I agree. Nick, I'm going to make you watch this one, buddy. Get ready this summer.
I know.
I know. I'm hoping you'll dig it, but we'll give it a shot. All right, Nick, you're up next, man. Let's see. Blockbuster or Wild Card? What are you doing?
I don't care.
All right, what do you got? We'll tell you where it goes. What are you picking?
I guess I'm gonna pick a movie I think is gonna fit the blockbuster. What the hell was the blockbuster criteria?
100 million or more.
Okay,
US
so
and Canada.
I'm picking Jim Carrey's The Mask.
Oh, that's one for sure. That's got to be 100 million, right, Justin?
Oh, you're right.
I know it was a huge movie back in the day. What if we adjust them for inflation and then we call it that if it's not?
It's got to be.
But I mean, Jim Carrey, I mean, we already mentioned it before. Jim Carrey had a hell of a 1994. And I mean, Dumb and Dumber is my number one, like, Jim Carrey comedy from this year, and probably, like, top 2 or 3. But I also really, really love The Mask, which is a feat in and of itself, considering I am not a huge Cameron Diaz fan. Like, I've never been hot on her, like, ever, in terms of, like,
but I mean,
in terms of, like, a talent thing. Like, I just never really got Cameron Diaz.
But fine. In that movie, bro, I mean, she was the hottest.
She's fine. She's perfectly serviceable as a female, lead in the movie alongside Jim Carrey. But it's the whole thing is just a showcase of his antics. It's got, like, the cartoonishness of, like, the ooga oogas and the wolf whistles and all that stuff. I haven't visited that movie in a long time, to be honest, but I really, really do remember it fondly. So that's it.
Nicely done. And you fit the rules there. Look at you. Every one of your movies fits the category. You're a beautiful bastard. I'll tell you that. I'm
breaking winners. I promise you. I'm going to shatter it, smash it, destroy it.
So Winters is going to get his last 2 picks here because he's going to round out his team. So he has a comedy pick and then whatever he wants for his wild card.
Now, Winters. You got to leave. I got only a handful left. You got to leave them for me, buddy. Okay, you can't steal these from me.
You got to text him the 3 that you've seen just to make sure.
Because otherwise,
he's on the board.
I'm gonna have to start digging through lists of movies I haven't seen and being like, what would fit good here?
Oh man, this is hard. You know what? Fuck it. For my comedy, I'm gonna pick a sequel to a film, a franchise that was big at the time for the youths. Has my boy Emilio Estevez in it. I'm picking D2 the Mighty Ducks, guys. So let's talk about D2 the Mighty Ducks. Mighty Ducks, classic, right? You're like, sure. They can't keep this going. They can't keep it on the same level of quality. Then it comes in D2 the Mighty Ducks. They add ducks, guys, more ducks, and they play older teams. I think they're in college in that one. They played like college teams. And I loved it, guys. I thought it was great.
Yeah, love this. You love this shit. I know. I've heard you talk about this before.
There were 3 similar toned movies I have on my comedy list, and this is probably my favorite of those 3. But in the mid '90s, there was a glut of young people in funny sports films, and the Mighty Ducks movies were ones that my brother and I at the time we loved them. So. I'm picking D2 the Mighty Ducks in this spot.
Get it.
Classic.
I love
Classic winner's pick. Yeah, you got to go with it, man. All right. So now you got your wild card to round out your team.
Oh man. All right. Okay. And all right. Let's see how wild card can I get. Let's go. You know what? I need another horror film here. I'm picking another horror film in the wild card. Probably the only really solid horror film from this year, other than Wes Craven's New Nightmare. It's from my boy John Carpenter. It's called In the Mouth of Madness.
Oh, Nick was going to take that. Nick, I'm sorry.
It's a decent flick. It's a decent flick. It really is. It's good.
Yeah, he, diminishing returns as we go through the 90s with John Carpenter, but this is one of those ones that really stuck with me. It's got this sequence in it. If I remember, it's got Sam Neill. He's great in the movie. Also in a Lord of Illusions in this were not Lord of Illusions, fucking Event Horizon. So Event Horizon and this movie were two films that were just on repeat in my house. But In the Mouth of Madness has this sequence that I remember where it was almost like a nightmare. If I remember, the main character was in this like suburban place, and this guy kept riding by in this bike, and he would ride by, and then he would ride by again. And I just remember how spooky that scene was. And I love John Carpenter, and I thought this was one of his last great films, I would say. So I had to pick it here.
It's a good one.
In my wild card spot. In the Mouth of Madness. Check it out if you haven't.
And it's one that Nick has seen, which is a bonus.
Yeah,
you should get extra points for that.
Hi,
Nick,
right.
Check your categories. Make sure you have them all marked off or highlighted there on your paper.
Listen, I think I only am missing a wild card, which can be whatever the hell I want it to be. So
Exactly.
Shut up.
What do you got?
All right, so I'm gonna. I don't want to throw. Yeah, I can't do that. I can't pick that one. So I'm gonna go with the final ever performance of the late great Raul Julia, who very famously was suffering with cancer, going through this movie. Jean-Claude Van Damme as the quintessential American action hero, Guile in Street Fighter. I mean, I just for the absolute just cinematic cheese of Raul Julia. Talk about again scenery chewing performances. He's so over the top as Bison. He's great. And I mean, just as a tribute to Raul Julia, just because he's so suffering from cancer and everything doesn't matter. He's still giving it his absolute everything in that movie, and you can't help but love him for it. And like I said, Jean-Claude Van Damme, as American as it gets.
Yeah, it's good. It's good. Street Fighter.
Great film, Raul Julia. He actually is I'm pretty sure he was the capper on our old intro for Fantasy Movie Draft. We had this intro that we get everybody hyped up, and at the end he's like, "Game over."
Yep.
Yeah, that's right. Yep.
He's great. So I love that film.
So good.
Yeah, great pick. Definitely a good wild card pick. So to round out the draft and to round out my team, my wild card is still on the board, but would have also fit into comedy. We were talking earlier about time capsules to the 1990s, and I feel like this movie definitely is that. But because I graduated high school in 94 and because I've really molded myself into an adult in the 90s, I don't care. Like, I'll watch it right now, and it will mean just as much to me, but it's Reality Bites. I'm going to put that as my wild card pick.
Okay.
Winona Ryder at the height of her girl next door in this movie, it was just so awesome. And Janine Garofalo has a great comedic comic relief in this movie. Ethan Hawke is kind of the rundown grunge rocker in this movie, so it's got that romantic comedy kind of flair to it, but it's told through this kind of macabre grunge lens. And by the way, all of my soundtracks are soundtracks that I still listen to. I put them on right now and I just blast them. I mean, this is another one that's just great. I mean, Lisa Loeb, Stay. It's a freaking banger of all time classic. I'll slow dance to either one of you right now with that. So yeah, Reality Bites for me is my wild card pick, and I'm glad it didn't get taken, and that rounds out the team and rounds out the draft there. But real quick, are you guys fans of the Reality Bites? Have you seen this one, Nick? No? Justin, you have, I assume?
I thought the movie's okay, but I had a huge crush on Lisa Loeb and her glasses, so that was my main association to that movie.
Without a doubt. That's why I make Nick wear glasses to every episode.
That's what it is. Okay.
Yeah, that's the reason why.
You
finally.
It brings it back. All right, so let's round out the teams here. Let's let everybody know on the audio recording what we have our final teams here. So my team of 6 is Pulp Fiction, Dumb and Dumber, Natural Born Killers, The Lion King, The Crow, and Reality Bites. Nick, let them know what your team is.
Yeah, huge horror film, Natural Born Killers. Yes, good. So my 1 through 6, screw Gerald's classification list here.
Yeah, we're gonna have to do away with this.
we have Clerks, we have True Lies, we have Leon the Professional, Stargate, The Mask, and Street Fighter.
Yeah, nice. Justin, what do you got, man?
I had The Shawshank Redemption, D2, The Mighty Ducks, Wes Craven's New Nightmare, Forrest Gump, Speed, and In the Mouth of Madness.
Bam. There you go. So what we're going to do is we'll wait a day or two after the audio's released, and then I'll put this up on social media, and I'll let people tell us who's right and who's wrong and who has the best team. And we might come up with some kind of fun little prize or two-piece swag or something if the guest wins or something like that. We'll figure that out, because we'll be having sometimes one, as we did tonight, because it was kind of a test run. But Nick was talking about we might have like a podcasting duo in here to go peas against whoever, and we'll have fun with it, and kind of like what we said at the top.
We stole the fantasy movie draft from So I Married a Movie Geek. Now we're stealing Pod v Pod from the Movie Journey. We're coming for all your segments, you bastards.
We're just getting all the best concepts together to finally get some listeners on our show. So
we should start doing top 10s too. There's no show doing that anymore.
All right, winners. What do you want to tell them? You don't want to tell them anything, or?
Oh, we don't have honorable mentions.
Oh yeah, let's do some honorables. Yeah, go ahead, do honorables. Yeah, I got a few that didn't get mentioned.
What do I got here? Other like teen related movies at the time. Little Giants was a favorite of mine. Yeah, what else? A Brain Scan with Edward Furlong. I was weirdly in love with at the time. Clear and Present Danger, Harrison Ford, Clancy.
I think that would have been another blockbuster, right? I think that did over 100.
I almost picked that. I think that's a great film. And let's see what else. Blue Chips. You got Nick Nolte and Shaq.
Oh yeah,
William Friedkin film that I love, and then Hoop Dreams, one of my favorite documentaries of all time, came out in 1994. So
yeah, the ones for me that kind of sting that didn't get mentioned was Ed Wood, the Tim Burton film with Johnny Depp. That's one of my favorites. Martin Landau won the Oscar for that, for supporting. I also love Serial Mom, which could have been my horror pick, and I thought about it. The John Waters fucking weird movie about the neighborhood mom that just starts killing people because she's just kind of irritated with other moms in the neighborhood. But that's a really fun one. And how about Tammy and the T-Rex?
I in there. I'm shocked winners didn't pick it to be a Honey P.
Let's go.
Thinking.
I had never seen that movie. That was one of the 6 I saw. So I saw.
Okay.
Let's see. I'll run them down. These are the ones I saw for the first time just because of this draft. Time Cop. I'd never seen it. That was okay. No Escape with Ray Liotta. Good flick. Had some like Waterworld type vibes. Tammy and the T-Rex. If you've never seen it, not a good film, but an entertaining film.
Yeah, for sure.
Then Hudsucker Proxy, a Coen brothers movie I'd never seen, was solid. Clifford with Martin Short and Charles Grodin I liked. And then one of the worst movies I've seen this year, I never knew that there was a Ghoulies 4 until this draft. I watched it. Wow. Absolute and total garbage. just half star, not even like barely a half star film. So
not even trying to be a movie, not even trying to be connected to the universe even.
Didn't even really have the Ghoulies. Had like 2 guys in like some troll like suits. I was very disappointed. So
yeah, I agree. I did the whole Ghoulies franchise with our boy Drew on our Patreon a couple years ago, and man, they were few and far between as far as likable moments in those movies. Nick, did you have any honorables that didn't get mentioned, man?
The only other movie I had on my list, I had one left, literally one left, and it's Ace Ventura, Pet Detective.
Yeah,
which classic. I already had a Jim Carrey comedy on my list. I was like, I can't take another one, especially right after. Like I was like, I couldn't take another one. So
yeah, I mean,
not that I hadn't seen. Like I'd see it. Like I saw Clear and Present Danger. It's it's solid, really solid. But yeah, I mean, I just didn't throw other stuff on my list. I barely eked this thing to the like 14 or 15 films that were on it. I was like, all right, here was literally my logic. I'm like, they're both horror, so one of them's gonna pick some horror movie, and I was like, one of them's gonna pick The Crow because I know Gerald loves it. So I was like, there's 16 movies. I got like 14 or 15, so I'm like, I'm gonna have like maybe 1 or 2 left over, and that's what happened.
It worked out. It worked out, man. Nick, we're recording this a little early, so I don't know what we're going to be covering next week, but I know we have Kingdom of the Planet of the Apes on the horizon. I don't remember.
Which you've
what
already
else we're
heard by the
recording.
time this comes out, because this is after that.
Is that after that?
This is after
That's
that.
after.
Yeah.
Are you sure?
Yeah, pretty sure. Because this week when we are recording, we're doing Fall Guy, and then next week after that is Kingdom of the Planet of the Apes, and then the draft,
God.
I believe, is after Kingdom of the Planet of the Apes.
Oh my God, you're right. Yeah, so it won't be Kingdom of the Planet of the Apes. So, well, it'll probably be Hitman and Furiosa. We got Furiosa coming up.
Yeah.
So that'll probably be the one after this. But Justin, as I said before before we started the draft, you were really the inspiration for wanting to do this. We miss hanging out with you. We miss doing the movie drafts. Hopefully you can come back in the future and do some more because
you're coming back.
We need you here. Get Chrissy on, and it can be me and Nick against you and Chrissy. We could do that. Is she still podcast, or what's she doing?
Oh my
Raising
goodness
kids
gracious!
Yeah, that's partly the reason I don't have a podcast anymore. It's hard to pull her back in the podcasting game. But yeah, man, it was a pleasure. Love talking with you guys, whether it's putting it on a podcast or not. So it's all butter here, man. I love you guys, and I love talking about movies with you. So
I'm really sad.
We love you too, brother.
I didn't make winners like really disappointed in my list at all tonight. Like
no, you did good.
I expected usually when I do these drafts, I'll have one weird one that's like so far out of left field that nobody's like got on their radar at all. And I mean, I just couldn't find one in 94 to put in there like that.
I don't know who the queer winner is here, Nick, but you got a strong. Like
listen,
the True Lies,
here's the way
Leon
that
run was strong.
Here's the way that people vote on these stupid things on social media. They see Pulp Fiction, they're going to vote for your list, whether whatever else is on it or not. Because people don't vote for how good the list is they vote for their favorite movie, and it's Pulp Fiction. You're going to win. The end.
We'll see. I don't know. I think you got a good team there, but we'll see.
I mean, once we lost Twitter, like its creator, that was like my prime polling station. So even if we ever did one again, I'm like, I don't even know how we do the polls. Like that was part of it. Like everybody was on it.
Can the porn bots on Twitter vote? Like, can they vote now? Because I mean, if so, we're gonna get a huge turnout for this.
Boobs in bio,
link in bio, baby.
All right, that's it, guys. We'll be back next week, I think, with our review of Furiosa. I'm sorry, I'm talking
May
to you
29th,
from the past, but
ladies and gentlemen, it's going to be coming up really, really soon after this drops. But May 29th through June 1st, live stream for The Cure 8. $25,000 for the Cancer Research Institute. We're going to cross over $100,000 raised this year. It's going to be absolutely amazing. Gerald's going to be there. I'm going to flog him repeatedly on camera, probably. But please, please, please save a few dollars and come out. 100% of proceeds go to the Cancer Research Institute, to immunotherapy research, and a world immune to cancer. Come out, have a good time. Just with amazing, amazing podcasters and content creators like the beautiful people on this call and me.
I can't wait for it myself. Live stream for The Cure. Make sure you check the show notes for all that information as well. Like Nick said, Justin Winters, we appreciate you, brother, and thanks for being a fan. Thanks
Love
for listening.
you, Winters.
Thanks for coming on, man. We appreciate it.
Thanks, guys.
We'll see you guys next week when we talk Furiosa. I'll be there.